Welcome to Are You Quizzing Me? I'm Vinit Nair with my co host Aditya Kashyap. This is a quizzing trivia podcast show. Join us as we dive deep into history, science, sport, pop culture, and so much more. Let's get quizzing.
Another day, another episode, and welcome to Are You Quizzing Me? This is episode number 36, and let's get right down to it. Before we start off the episode, there is the audio matter of the audience question, where I ask a question to you, the audience, and I give you the answer at the end of the episode. And the question for today and this episode is Sachin Tendulkar became the youngest player to score a century in England when he scored 119 not out against England at the Old Trafford and also helped India savage the cricket test in August of 1990. His performance led to him being made the man of the match, and he was awarded with something. However, if he were to have used what he received, he would have had received a warning from the Manchester police. Why? Let me repeat the question for the sake of the audience once again. Sachin Tendulkar, famous cricket player, became the youngest player to score a century in England when he scored 119 not out against England at the Old Trafford and helped India salvage the test in August 1990. His performance led him to be made man of the match and he was awarded with something. However, if he were to have used the award, he would have received a warning from the Manchester police. Why? The answer to this question will be revealed at the end of the episode. Till then, try and guess if you can find the answer. So, Aditya, you had asked a question at the end of last week's episode. Please enlighten us as to what the answer could be for that.
I did ask a question, and the question was there is a specific martial art that has been developed for the Japanese police force. Um, and I was asking if it was the context of India, what would that martial art be called? And I realized it doesn't even have to be called something new. You can just use a pre existing martial art form. And that would be MMA, except it would be pronounced mama, like a mama, which is a common slang that you use for cops, like a mama or a mamu in Mumbai, especially. So you would just
Okay,
call them
that's
mama.
reaching. I mean, like you literally have to be Mr. Fantastic to reach whatever you've gone. You what a stretch, man! That is such a stretch.
It is episode 36. We are recording this at 1:30 in the night. I feel like I I did not sign up for this. If anybody has any doubts, please go back to episode 1 and 2 where this was just a one-time joke that I did not intend to ever continue. It was supposed to be a serious podcast where we do some serious trivia. It's all on you, Vineet. So you get to complain
Hey,
nada.
I'm just listening to the audience. A lot of people who have messaged us, the main thing they say they all like the jokes. At least most of them, they like the jokes. And I liked one particular comment where they mentioned that they like the dad jokes. So even though
I
I'm the
guess.
dad among the two of us, the bachelor,
It's
the confirmed bachelor, is the one giving the dad jokes.
yeah, I guess. It is not a skill that is determined by you having or not having a child. It is just something you're born with, I guess.
I guess. So let me start off today's quizzing with a question. This fruit was named by missionaries in Brazil. The name comes from the short final period, which is a part of the Holy Week, which starts from Palm Sunday to Maundy Thursday, after which Jesus is crucified. In Latin, this word comes from a word which means to suffer. Identify the fruit name. Which fruit am I talking about?
To suffer. Ooh, pineapple would be pining, but no, I don't think that fits.
No, no, no. Named by missionaries in Brazil comes from the name comes from the short final period, which is a part of the Holy Week, which starts from Palm Sunday to Maundy Thursday, after which Jesus is crucified. In Latin, this comes from a word which means to suffer. Which fruit am I talking about?
Mm, I can't think of a single fruit that would be an valid answer for this.
Okay, so my
So,
my first clue to you would be, even though the name comes from the Latin, which means to suffer, the current more commonplace meaning of this word is something completely opposite.
okay.
So that's probably why you're not thinking of this fruit.
Because you said uh, Latin America, I am gonna guess plantain, bananas.
No, no, no.
Okay. Wow, then I have no clue whatsoever that. And you said it's also a completely different meaning. So no, I am completely lost
The
right now.
commonplace meaning. I mean, like it still does have in certain contexts the meaning to suffer, but the more
Hmm.
commonplace meaning would be completely different. And the meaning of to suffer is actually in one very specific context,
Okay. Um.
which is related to the name. And the clue that I gave you, that not the clue, the part of the question, that the name comes from the short final period, which is a part of the Holy Week, which starts from Palm Sunday to Maundy Thursday.
Wow. No, I have no clue. Yeah. If there's no other hint, you should just tell me the answer.
No, I'll give you one hint, an indirect hint,
Okay.
but this may get it to you. Think Mel Gibson.
All I could think of was anti-Semitic tirades that he has had.
No, not that. No,
Yeah.
definitely not that. But think of, say, I okay, put the clues together. When I say the name comes from the short final period, which is a part of the Holy Week, which starts from Palm Sunday to Maundy Thursday, after which Jesus is crucified. And then when I tell you Mel Gibson, what should come to mind?
Braveheart? Oh, I can't.
No.
Wow. You sound offended that I don't get this answer. So now I have to get this answer. The Sunday and the Thursday thing also seems to be a hint that you're giving me, but I'm completely lost over there as well.
Okay,
Uh,
think Jesus' crucifixion and Mel Gibson.
oh, okay. Passion of the Christ. Passion fruit.
Yes, it is passion fruit.
Oh, what? Okay. Would have never in a million years occurred to me.
Yes, so
Why
exactly.
is.
So the thing is the passion of the Christ, basically suffering of Christ. It comes from the Latin
Okay.
passus sum, which means to suffer.
Ah.
So passion fruit literally it comes from that origin. But you think of passion fruit, you think of passion, love and intensity and things
Mm,
like that. Suffering is the
mm.
last thing that comes to mind when you think of passion fruit. But this is so I found that once I read this piece of trivia, I found that quite interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Very cool. And interestingly enough, I was trying to think of words which would be derived. So I wasn't even thinking like an actual English word like passion fruit.
Yeah.
Okay, but cool, cool. Great piece of trivia. I love that. Okay. I am going to move to another historical event,
Hmm.
and this one is set in the UK.
As many historical events are.
Yes, you're right. As a lot of history, at least the one that we're forced to study, did happen in the UK. This one refers to the time of Queen Elizabeth I, who commissioned England's first national lottery in 1567 to generate funding for the Royal Navy. The Royal Navy at this point was looking to extend its export markets across the world, so it was the beginning of the British Empire.
Hmm.
The grand reward was a whopping £5,000, which was astronomical at the time. And as if that wasn't enough, to attract more people, as many people as possible, to purchase these lottery tickets, the ticket holders were also promised certain other things. What is one of those things that is today remembered in pop culture as well?
Okay, I know this piece of trivia, but don't remember what the extra uh, kind of benefits were. Was it something to do with income tax that they didn't have to pay tax?
Well, I don't know all the benefits that were offered, but not the one that I'm
Okay,
referring to right now, because it
okay,
is
not the one
something
that
that is in pop culture today.
pop culture today.
Let me give you specifically what kind of pop culture, and this has to do with gaming
Gaming.
and not video games. So, not video
Oh, okay. So we're
games,
talking
basically.
about
Not.
Okay, so not gaming as in gambling, right?
Oh, no, 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 not gambling.
Okay,
Games.
games. Monopoly. Would this be something? Oh, is this a get out of jail free card?
Very well cracked. Yes, it is the get out of jail free card. So
Oh,
1567 is one of the earliest recorded instances. There have been a few more, but pre the board game Monopoly, which is from the turn of the previous century, this is one of the most iconic examples of a get out of jail free card, which was offered to people as one of the lottery rewards. And the winner could use that to excuse themselves from punishment for any except the most serious of crimes. So, any other crime
Okay.
that they would commit, they would not have
Except
to
maybe like
face
murder and
consequences.
treason or something like that.
I would imagine, yeah, something extremely serious like that. Apart from that, most other crimes would and would be something they would not have to pay the price for, as it were, because of the get out of jail free card. And Monopoly uses get out of jail free cards, as most people would know who have played Monopoly.
Nice question. I am also going to stay somewhere in the same bailiwick. So, in the 16th century, uh, the pure and solid form of X was found in the mines of Borrowdale, England. X was of the same color and consistency and density as another metal ore, Y. And because of this, X was initially called Y. The
Okay.
discovery had made the mines of Borrowdale extremely valuable, as wrapping brittle little sticks of X tightly in sheepskin became very popular. Later, when science advanced, it was discovered that the Y had nothing to do with X. But even today, a layman would call X by the name of Y. What are we talking about?
Are we talking about graphite?
Oh, you got that too quickly. Okay, yes. We are talking about graphite, and obviously, so then the other one would be
Lead.
lead. Yes. We are talking about graphite and lead. When graphite was first discovered, as if you don't know, the graphite, obviously you know, but I'm talking for the sake of the audience. If you don't know, graphite is basically carbon, it has nothing to do with lead. Lead is a completely different metal, but because graphite in that particular form has the same kind of color and was as soft as lead, it was considered to be lead. What gave it away? Did you already know this piece of trivia or did you work it out?
I worked it out because you said it used to be referred to by that name, but it has nothing to do with it. But a common man might still use that name. And I
Ah,
think I've
okay.
always wondered why we call graphite pencils lead.
Okay.
Like the lead broke off, that part of the pencil, we call it the lead. And it just clicked in place when you asked me the question. So,
Nice
lovely
crack. Nice
question.
crack.
Yeah,
Okay.
great
Your
question.
turn.
Great question. Okay. Since we were talking about pencils, I'm going to go into writing. And this
Nice
is
segue.
and this is in the context of India. So I assume you have watched Slumdog Millionaire.
Yes, and I forgot it as soon as I watched it. I still to this day believe it is one of Danny Boyle's more mediocre efforts, and I cannot understand why people place such a high value on it. And that's the end of my rant.
You would not be alone. I think a lot of people do consider it to be slightly overrated. Regardless of that, whether you like it or you don't like Slumdog Millionaire, it was a pretty famous film back from 2008, as you mentioned, directed by Danny Boyle. Now, Danny Boyle is a fan of these Indian film people, and as a tribute to these people, he named some of his characters in the film after them. So I'll tell you who those characters were, but I won't tell you the name. So in case you remember that, like you said, you've forgotten it, so probably won't be an easy hint for you. But anyways, I'll say it.
Okay.
The brother of the protagonist and one of the antagonists was named after the people that Danny Boyle greatly admires. Who are these two people from the Indian film industry that he considers to be very inspiring in his own work?
So I absolutely do not remember the movies. I mean, like I frankly don't even remember what Dev Patel's character name was. Forget anything else. So asking for his brother's name is just pouring salt on the wound. But still, look, I'm going to give it a guess because this is Danny Boyle, uh, and I would guess that if he were a big fan of somebody in the Indian film industry, they would be directors. Would I be wrong in guessing they would be directors?
Yeah, I did not say directors specifically because they are not directors.
Oh,
So
they're not
no,
directors.
no.
Oh. because I was going to go with Satyajit Ray, because when it comes to the Indian film industry, when in doubt, it's Satyajit Ray.
All right.
But it's not. Okay, okay, that's interesting. So what else? So then it must be music. I don't think. I mean, like, no offense to the Indian film industry, but we don't particularly have very famous cinematographers, at least famous worldwide. So I was thinking of Danny Boyle would be the music or cinematography or direction.
So music is something that they have done, but isn't what they are particularly famous for.
Are we talking about Salim Javed?
Uh, I was trying not to say two people because I think the most famous duo is Salim Javed, but you're right. Salim Javed are two people that Danny Boyle considers a massive influence on his own work and specifically on Slumdog Millionaire. Actor
Really?
Anil Kapoor noted that some scenes of Slumdog Millionaire are, quote, like Diwar, the story of two brothers, of whom one is completely after money while the younger one is honest and not interested in money. So, all of these things are very much reminiscent of Salim Javed's work. And for anybody who might not know, Salim Javed was an Indian screenwriting duo. So, they both were extremely influential back in the 70s and 80s with their films. Some of the most iconic Bollywood films that you can think of were written by these two. Now, the two
Sholay.
characters, Sholay is by Salim Javed, I believe. Yes, you're right. I think
Yeah.
Sholay is by Salim Javed.
Sholay is by Salim
Um,
Javed.
some of the other ones, which are like Sita or Geeta or Zanjeer or Diwar and Dawn, some very, very iconic films were all written by Salim Javed. The two characters, by the way, in the film, you said you don't remember Dev Patel's character's name. That is Jamal Malik. Jamal
Ah,
Malik's brother
okay.
is Salim Malik. So Salim after
Okay.
Salim Khan. And the main antagonist of the film is played by Mahesh Manjrekar, whose name is
Hmm.
Javed Khan. So Javed
Okay. So for Javed
Akhtar.
Akhtar. Okay. Yeah.
That's right. So Salim Javed were paid homage to in the movie by having their names given to these two characters.
That's nice. I'm now going to ask you a question again related to food. I have a lot of food questions. So I'm going to ask you a question related to food. It's also related to geography and etymology. It's a combination of most of my favorite topics. This commodity, brought from a Portuguese colony in East Africa to India, was something that Indians had never seen before. It was sold under the name of the nation from which it came, but us Indians could not pronounce it correctly, and so it got corrupted to the version that we now know it as. I want you to tell me which fruit and which country are we talking about? Which African country and which fruit?
So the name that has been corrupted and is now used commonly is the Indian name or like a Hindi name? Which one? Which
It's
language are we
it's
talking about?
it's a corruption of the name of the country.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, it was sold. This commodity was sold in India under the name of the African country. Now we
Okay.
couldn't pronounce it well, so it got corrupted.
I have a guess,
Okay.
and this is the reference to the previous episode where you guessed Mozambique. So I'm going to say Mosambik.
I was praying that you didn't remember that one because okay, it is, yes, it is Mozambique, and it is the Mozambique, which to the rest of the world is the sweet lemon.
Okay, okay.
It's the sweet lemon. It's a plant grown as a sweet lemon. Citrus limetta. It's also known as the Mosami or the Musami, because they're all in corruptions of Mozambique from whence it came.
This has to be one of my favorite kinds of questions, right? Which are just once you know the question, the answer is obvious, and you
Yes.
perhaps never thought about it, but once it's in front
I was
of
very
you.
careful to try and say commodity instead of fruit, because I had a feeling if I said fruit, you'd get it very easily.
No, that was a great question, and I am glad I got it so quickly. Pat on the back for myself. Yay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Since we were talking about etymologies, a little
Uh-huh.
etymology question. The time is August 1281. So this is almost 1,000 years ago. And this word referred to major typhoons that dispersed the Mongol Koryo fleets which invaded Japan under Kublai Khan. So the invasions were
Okay.
happening between 1274 and 1281. And in August 1281, because there were major typhoons, the fleets were dispersed. This word, I'll give you the translation later as a hint if you want. But for now, this word today is used in multiple contexts, including in English and, of course, in Japanese as well. What is the word that was used for the typhoons that is today used in both English and Japanese?
Maybe it's like a Freudian connection. Not a Freudian connection. What am I talking about? Maybe it's just a connection that I feel because you said typhoon. Is it tycoon?
Oh, that's a that's a funny guess, but no, 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 it's not. It's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I
Okay, fine.
was going to say a great guess, but then I was like, is that a great guess?
No, that's
It's just
not
a
a great
funny
guess.
guess.
It's not a great guess.
I usually use the word
Okay.
like, I'm like, yeah, Vinny, that was a great guess. I want to encourage you, but like, typhoon is
No,
just,
that
it's
was
cute.
just pure.
It's
That
a,
was just sad. That was just
I
sad. It
mean,
wasn't even. It
no,
was
no,
a
no, no.
sad connection.
I have a positive adjective for it. I think that was a cute guess. I think you just connected
Oh,
typhoon to
that's just
tycoon. I love
patronizing.
that. No, no, I appreciated that,
Okay. No.
but
Okay. So
not
yes,
the
I
right
know.
answer.
I'm owning my mediocrity there. So let's get on with it. Okay. So the
Go for it.
typhoons that sunk Kublai Khan's fleet,
Mhm.
August 1281, and we are talking about the what its impact on pop culture. There's a word that comes from it. You're saying it's the etymology.
It's not necessarily just pop culture. It is there in pop culture as well, but I think in general usage as well in both
Okay.
English and Japanese.
English and Japanese. I'll need a clue.
Okay. I'll give you the origin of the word in Japanese, so the source of the word. And the word originated from figure of speech used in Japanese waka poetry, modifying, and I'm spelling it out for you, ISE. And I don't know how to pronounce it, but I would assume it's something like Ise, something like that, which is a province in Japan. So it is a modified word which is originated from this source in Japanese.
There are haiku.
Oh no, it's not a haiku, no.
No, I'm trying to think of Japanese words which I know, which are very few and far between.
Oh
Uh,
no, I'm sure you know a lot of them. It's just that they are
yeah,
so commonly used in English, sometimes we forget that they are Japanese in origin.
Japanese. Yeah. I'm just blanking. I have absolutely no leads on this one.
Okay, let me tell you what the word translates to in English, even though the Japanese word itself is used in English. But if I was
Okay.
to translate it to English, it would be divine wind.
Divine wind.
Hence the usage for referring to the typhoons that dispersed the fleets when Japan was under invasion by Kublai Khan.
Oh, okay. I have a feeling this is something I've read at some point and forgotten completely. Because when you said divine wind, na, something started to spark at the back of my head, but it's too deep. I can't remember what exactly it was.
Vineet, I've known you for a very long time. In this case, I know you know the answer. There's no way you
Okay.
don't know the answer.
Okay.
So I'm just chalking it up to the late hour that it's not striking you immediately, but you'll get there. I believe in you.
Yeah. Divine wind, divine wind. For some reason, my head is going to karaoke, empty orchestra. Uh, it's just playing over in my head. What kind of Japanese words? Divine wind.
Okay, I'll give you a hint, which is very
Okay.
close, I guess. It's the same starting letter as karaoke, I mean.
Obviously.
It's K.
Oh
It starts
God,
with K.
it starts with K. Shit, I'm just blocking right now. Only karaoke and karate, both meaning empty, is kara means empty. That's the only thing that's coming to mind. I'm not. You put me out of my misery, man.
I'll give you one last hint, okay? It
Okay.
became popular or it gained a lot of notoriety, I guess, middle of last century.
The middle of the last century. Kamikaze.
There we go. It is
Oh
kamikaze. Well
God,
done. Well
yes,
done. Well done.
yes. It just hit me. Yeah, yeah. The kamikaze pilots, the suicidal pilots who used to crash their planes into the ships in the Pacific Fleet during World War II.
Exactly. So suicide attacks against the Allied naval vessels in the closing stages of the Pacific campaign of World War II, intending to destroy warships more effectively than with conventional air attacks. because conventional air attacks sometimes don't really hit their targets. And kamikaze, the word itself translates to divine wind, but is also now an English word and is used to mean basically doing something which would be self destructive when used in English. And it comes from the word that was used to describe the typhoons that dispersed the fleets back in 1281. And
Okay.
that's kamikaze for you.
So I'm going to ask you a very, very simple question. This is a question I'm fairly sure you know the trivia for, but I'm going to ask you it anyway. Hillbilly is a term for people who dwell in the rural areas of the US, primarily in the southern Appalachian Mountains and the Ozarks. Okay. A
Okay.
cartoon hillbilly, a cartoon style hillbilly, was used as the logo on early bottles and signages of this beverage.
Okay.
Which beverage are we talking about? I'm intentionally holding back a couple of clues to make it a little more difficult for you because I know otherwise you'll get this very quickly.
Is it your Tennessee whiskey?
No.
Interesting. A beverage which had a hillbilly character as a mascot, right?
Yeah, a cartoon stylized hillbilly. If it weren't copyrighted right now, would be the perfect time to play dueling banjos in the background.
Oh, I can't think of something that fits this. What kind of drink are we talking about?
Okay, so I'm going to give you an additional clue. This is for something I left out of the question. The name of this beverage originated from the Scots Irish slang meaning moonshine.
Scott Irish slang meaning moonshine.
Yeah, so it was a slang for moonshine. Moonshine, as most people may know, or if you didn't, moonshine is kind of homemade distilled alcohol that was made by the people of the Appalachian Mountains and the Ozarks, and something that exploded during the prohibition in the US.
Oof, moonshine. This is why alcohol questions always trip me up. I don't feel like I'm going to start drinking alcohol just to be able to answer alcohol questions.
One more clue for you. It's not alcohol.
Oh, okay, interesting. Because moonshine would have meant alcohol directly for me. Okay, not alcohol. So I'm thinking famous American brands like Pepsi and Coke, but I don't think they ever had a hillbilly mascot.
No,
Uh,
I don't think any of us has seen this particular mascot. We are all We are all very familiar with a very different stylized logo, but
mm.
this is from its
D-
early origins.
Does this drink still have a mascot, or is it just a logo that is iconic now?
No, there is no mascot as far as I know. It's not like Seven Up, which had Fido Dido or something like that.
Right, right, right. So is it something like a carbonated drink? Is it a carbonated drink?
Yes.
And then my guesses would have been Coke or Pepsi, but I don't think they are right. So tell me what the answer is.
Okay, I'm gonna read the question with stresses on certain portions, and that should
Okay.
give you the answer. Okay.
All right. All right. Let's do this.
Hillbilly is a term for people who dwell in the rural areas of the US, primarily in the southern Appalachian Mountains and the Ozarks. A cartoon styled hillbilly was used on the early bottles and signages of this beverage, with the name coming from the Scots Irish slang meaning moonshine.
I like how you stressed on mountains is Mountain Dew.
It is Mountain Dew.
Oh, that is so kind of you, Vineet. You just literally handled me to the answer. Okay, and made me feel good as if I figured it out by myself. Yeah, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah,
Great.
so this is Mountain.
Mountain
So
Dew.
Mountain Dew is actually was actually a slang for moonshine. So when the beverage first came out, it had a cartoon kind of hillbilly on its logo.
Yeah, that is a great question. I like that. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay. Okay. My next question has to do with the United States of America, and
Mhm.
specifically the one thing that they're really good at, undoubtedly, and that is their military.
Okay.
As has been the case for many many centuries, the U.S. military also uses dogs as uh, as members of the military. And these dogs obviously are used in multiple scenarios, like they're deployed as scouts or bomb detectors, sometimes as sentries, sometimes even as couriers.
Okay.
Now, one of the things that working with an animal sometimes requires is that we want to respect the animal rights. And with the non-human being, obviously it is not like you can talk to them. So what is one thing that the US military does which in theory helps show respect to the dogs? So a practice that the US military employs that is meant to ensure that while in service they are shown respect.
They're given ranks,
And
right? Dogs are given official ranks and they can be majors and colonels and whatnot.
that's pretty cool. Yes, you are right, but I would ask you to go a bit further. You're pretty much on the right track. So this is meant to basically ensure that they're shown respect and to discourage mistreatment of the dogs. In theory, obviously, you can't ensure that just by a single practice, but this practice is meant to try to get there.
Interesting. Because I thought the whole purpose of those ranks thing was like, okay, the dog outranks you, outranks its handler, so you can't,
Oh, okay, then fine. Yeah, yeah, okay, okay, you got it already. Yes,
Oh, okay.
because you just said
Okay.
rank. You just said rank, so I was just looking for that little bit more of
Oh,
a
okay, okay,
nuance
yeah.
there.
Okay.
It is the fact that dogs usually outrank their handlers. So that
So,
is more often than not the case that the dogs usually outrank. If not outrank, they're at the same level. And it's a matter of tradition. Most dog handlers start their careers as private first class or sergeants. And the dog, being a non commissioned officer, would outrank or at least match the rank of their handler.
okay.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is one of the things that they do in the military, in the US at least, to discourage mistreatment of the dogs. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice.
Quick crack, quick crack.
Okay. This person was a tech enthusiast who hopped onto the internet bandwagon in India much before anyone else. Okay. He became the founder and chairman of the Internet Users Committee of India and also played a major role in setting up internet organizations like the Ethical Hackers Association. He very famously used to maintain a website dedicated to his family. I need you to identify who I'm talking about.
What is this person famous for? Is it for tech or for something else?
No, that's exactly why I'm asking this question. You would be very surprised if I told you his name. He has nothing to do, I mean, like in the public space at least, he's not known for being tech savvy or anything related to technology. His fame comes from a completely different field.
Okay, no, I have no clue right now. So any hint would be good.
Okay, I will tell you who I mean, like what his profession was. He was famous for. He was a Bollywood actor,
Okay.
and he was one of the first to hop on the internet bandwagon. Founder and chairman of the Internet Users Community of India, and he played a major role in setting up internet organizations like the Ethical Hackers Association. And he famously maintained a website dedicated to his family.
Is the family also famous?
Have to be, no, because otherwise people wouldn't be interested.
Right. Amitabh Bachchan was an early adopter, but I think that was more in the blogging space. So I don't think that would
Yeah,
work.
and that was way, way after this.
Also, it's like actually proper early internet you're
Yeah, this
talking.
is when the internet first came to India, and there were like 15 internet users in Mumbai or something like that.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. This is in
And
the
famous.
Yeah, this is the time of VSNL. I don't know if you're old enough. I mean, like, I'm sorry to say that, but I don't know if you remember VSNL, Vichar Sanchar Nigam Limited, which used to provide internet.
Oh, wow. I don't know what VSNL is. No.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I happen to be from the generation that has used VSNL dial-up. Brings back
Okay.
traumatic
I
yet
have
fond nostalgic memories.
I have used dial up, but perhaps I just don't remember VSNL. Okay. Anyways, let's try this out. If it is Indian film industry, I'm assuming you meant Bollywood because you also said Mumbai. So I'm gonna say the Kapoor family and Rishi Kapoor, just cause.
No, it's not Rishi Kapoor.
But is it the Kapoor family?
Yes.
Okay. There are quite a few people there. Anil Kapoor?
No.
I'm trying to think of the Kapoors who were active in the 90s, but I guess doesn't necessarily have to be a name that was active in film.
No,
Uh,
he's very, very famous.
hmm.
Very famous actor, known for his personality and for his dance moves.
Personality and dance moves in the 90s.
I didn't say the 90s. I just the 90s is when the internet came to India.
Yeah, I mean, if it was an early adopter, it would be early 2000s and
No, the internet came
around
to
that, right?
it came to India in the early 90s, but that
Hmm.
doesn't technically mean this person was active during the 90s, at least in film.
Oh, oh, okay. Is it then Ranbir Kapoor would be too young, I imagine. Is it Ranbir
Ranbir
Kapoor?
Kapoor would have been a toddler at this time.
Yeah. Okay. Damn, I can't think of somebody who would fit this bill then. No, you gotta give me a hint. Even though Kapoor family should get me there, I still can't think of the right answer.
Okay. It is quite appropriate that this person was one of the initial adopters of the internet, given that a very, very famous website kind of owe the name to one of his most famous moments in cinema.
So, an Indian website which is named after something from this person's films.
Yeah, so in one interview, apparently he has mentioned that a lot of people thought that he owned this website because the name of the website is inextricably linked to him, at least in India.
Somebody from the Kapoor family, a website name from one of their movies.
No, the website
Wow.
actually had, see, the website's name has actually nothing to do with this movie, right? But it
I
is,
got that.
yeah, it's inextricably, the name of the website is inextricably linked to this particular actor. So much so that many people in India, including some, in an interview, he mentioned that including some of his own family, thought that he owned this website, or at least he had a share in this website.
Sounds like a really fun piece of trivia. But no, I guess you'll have to give me the website name to for me to get there then.
Okay, so the website we're talking about, which has this link to him, is Yahoo.
Shami Kapoor. Shami Kapoor.
It is Shammi Kapoor, yes.
Right, right, right.
So Shammi Kapoor and his internet club in
Hmm.
the 90 in basically in 1990s, we're talking about 94 to 96, around that
Hmm.
time, they were the first group of people to, start using the internet. They had this kind of club and whatnot, and he used to maintain some of the first Indian websites. And there was this a picture that was posted of one of his emails from 1996 on Twitter, or X as we should be calling it now, where he's basically messaging IUCI members, that is the Internet Users Committee of India members, basically telling them to be less horny on the chat rooms. I'm not
Oh
kidding.
boy.
Okay, and I'm reading this. Okay, a number of visitors to Talk City, many of them from India, I'm ashamed to say, behave as if the words they type on their keyboards will be read by computers. They seem to forget that there are human beings sitting in front of these machines. To put it bluntly, they are rude, they are offensive to members of the opposite sex, and they do things that make it difficult for others to participate in a conversation. Now, this is not typical of IRC channels. In fact, there are many that seem to be full of unpleasant stuff. They are a bit like the not so nice bars in the not so nice areas of our towns, the ones most of us prefer to stay away from ourselves, and the ones we try to protect our children from. Please, you wouldn't behave like this in your own homes, so please don't behave like this in Talk City.
Well, as long as the internet has existed, people have been very inappropriate on it. So I'm not
Yep.
surprised. But interesting. Okay, so he was an early adopter of the internet. And you when you said the website thing, I was trying to think of an Indian website, and I wasn't able to. But Yahoo, of course, is the word that is very closely associated with him. So yeah, that makes sense. Great question. That is a fantastic question.
Yep. Shammi Kapoor, who knew?
Yeah, love it.
Your turn. Yours. I think yours will be the last question.
Okay, and here I go for the last question for the episode. I'm going to bring us from internet to the world of video games and tell you the story behind the origin of one of the iconic characters in gaming, and tell me which character I'm talking about. So, this
Okay.
particular character, the developers were trying to find references for this character, and they searched in what would be the most obvious place to be looking for a reference. However, they realized it was a complete waste of time because the reference that they were looking at, they realized the movements were unsuitable and they were too quiet to be captured by a microphone. Which particular character is this that eventually used a horse's gallop to animate the movements and had the programmer working on this particular game provide the sound and the voice?
Wow. A horse's gallop.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask one question? Is this an anthropomorphic character or is it a kind of. Basically, I'm asking if it's Pac Man or something else.
It is not something in the realm of Pac-Man, no.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any time frame for this?
Okay, I'll give you when this game was released. It's the 90s,
Okay.
one of the classic games.
Okay. Are we talking about the footsteps of Wolf 3D? Wolfenstein, the Castle Wolfenstein 3D?
No, no, no.
No. Okay. A horse's gallop. That's what. Then is it Link? Is it the Legend of Zelda? Link. But then I don't remember.
No.
The horses gallop somewhere else.
It is based after the horse's gallop, but horse's gallop is not exactly directly
Okay, so
seen.
that's okay. It's the directly seen or heard.
The movement was based off of the horse's gallop, right? So it's not like you see a horse galloping at any point, is my
Okay,
point.
okay, okay. I was thinking of the sound of a horse's gallop because
No,
I
no, no.
thought you'd
So the
mentioned
movement,
something about.
what they realized was they were trying to base it off of what would be the most obvious reference point, but they realized that the movements were unsuitable for that reference, and also the noises were too quiet to be captured by a microphone, so they couldn't base both the movement or the sound off of the reference that they wanted to use.
Okay, so then the sound was given by the programmer and the movement was based off a horse's gallop. So if it's something that's based off a horse's gallop, assuming it might be some kind of animal, which would have been the original reference, but something that's a quiet one.
Hmm.
And we're talking about a famous video game. Oh,
Nintendo, if that helps you.
uh, S- Super Mario Brothers,
No,
King Kong,
that's not the name though.
Donkey Kong. You're talking about Donkey Kong. Okay, so
Yes,
donkeys
Donkey Kong.
donkeys were the original reference, and then oh,
Oh, no,
okay,
no.
nice.
Donkeys were not the original reference. Sorry. Donkey Kong is actually a gorilla. So they
Okay,
wanted to use gorillas as a reference, and they went to a
okay,
zoo, and they were trying to spend hours trying to record them by a phone, a microphone, and a video camera. But they realized the movements were not very suitable, and they were too quiet for the noises to be captured as well. So eventually, Donkey Kong's running animation was based off of a horse's gallop, and one of the programmers provided the sounds for Donkey Kong as well. It just made a.
nice.
I'm just trying to picture this guy who was
Good
coding.
throwback to the beginning of video games as we know it today.
Exactly, yeah. And but I'm also trying to picture because I've been in the coding space and I'm just working on my code like late into the night, and my boss comes up to me and he's like, "Can you make some gorilla noises?" And then for the next 2 weeks, that's what I'm doing. I'm just recording gorilla noises.
No, I think that's how Andy Serkis had his career, right?
No, that's true. That's true. Pretty much how Andy Serkis has always worked. Yeah, that is the origin of Donkey Kong in terms of its characteristics for the video game.
Okay, nice question, great question. That's I think all the time we have for questions or direct questions. Aditya, do you have a question for our audience for the next week?
I do have a question for the audience. So the question is, if to pay tribute to Shami Kapoor and his contributions to internet in India, there was a website created, what would be the ideal name for that website, which obviously can't be yahoo.com because yahoo.com already exists. So what would be the ideal name for that website? And that is a question we shall answer in next week's episode.
Great. And I actually look forward to that answer, which is saying something. No, to be fair, I'm quite surprised that Aditya hasn't quit this podcast because I keep It's like it's like he's a performing monkey, and I'm keep poking him every week. So like, dance, monkey, dance, and but he
Part of
still is a great sport. So yeah, we'll await that answer with bated breath for the next week. So let's wind before we wind up. There was the audience question that I had asked at the beginning of the episode. Sachin Tendulkar became the youngest player to score a century in England when he scored 119 not out against England at the Old Trafford and helped India salvage the test. His performance led to him being made the man of the match, and he was awarded with something. However, if he would have to have used what he was awarded, he would have received a warning from the Manchester police. Why? Aditya, do you have any guesses as to what the answer could be for this question?
The very obvious answer for that seems to be alcohol. Like, did he win a bottle of champagne or something?
Oh, bang on, bang on. Yes, he was awarded a champagne bottle, but he was underage at the time. So he could not have consumed it without having received a warning from the police. The additional piece of trivia is that he stored it away from 1990 all the way till 1998 and opened it only when his daughter Sarah turned 1.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's such a lovely little additional trivia. I love that.
Yes. So that's all we have time for this episode. Thank you all for listening in. We hope you enjoyed the show. We hope you learned something new. If you have liked what you heard, please consider subscribing to us or to our podcast and leaving us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps us reach a wider audience and allows more people to discover and enjoy the show. We'd also love to hear from you feedback, suggestions, trivia. You can reach us on Instagram at Are You Quizzing Me? We appreciate your support and look forward to sharing more episodes with you in the future. That Aditya, our fact checker general, will be back after the musical sting with the fact check for this episode. Thanks again for tuning in and have a great day.
See you guys next week. And here's the fact check for the episode. Donkey Kong was first introduced in the 1981 arcade game Donkey Kong. The reboot of the character happened in the 1994 game Donkey Kong Country, which was developed by Rare, a British video game developer. Donkey Kong Country was where the movements from a horse and the voice of a programmer was used to create the titular character. And that's all for the fact check.